So the other, far more elaborate, meandering story is about the worst sleepover I ever went to.
Oh, good. We've talked for 13 minutes. Please, meander.
Hi, I'm Steve, and this is Then You Ruined It, a podcast where me and Jason try to get through just 20 minutes of human interaction without, well, ruining it. Buckle up, folks. It's gonna get bumpy.
My kids have gotten to the point that they have started sleeping over at people's houses and having their friends sleep over at our house. It drives me crazy sometimes because now I'm the parent at the sleepover. I love it when they go to other people's house. Like, yes, I know they're getting into shenanigans, but not under my roof. I don't care. I don't know. Just don't tell me about it. But when they're here and like, do I have to go check on them? How about I just stomp real loudly outside the door so they behave? Ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure, right? Just walk around angrily. But it's got me thinking about sleepovers and how seminal they are in a child's life. And I wanted to ask you if you had any great sleepover stories.
No, I had terrible sleepover stories.
Well, like terrible for a podcast or terrible for you to have lived through? Because some of the worst stories to have lived through make for the best podcasts.
Oh, yeah, it's entirely possible. And I have very few. I didn't sleep over at a whole lot of people's houses. The ones that I did where they were actually my friends, those were a blast. We stayed up till, like 3 a.m. watching Cartoon Network and watching Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It was just the best. But I remember specifically one where it was weird because I was so the person I was at the sleepover for was in a different grade than me, but his sister was in my grade. I definitely was not there for the sister, but it was one of those where she was having a sleepover the same night. So it was like she was there with all the girls who, again, were my age for the most part.
Those parents messed up.
Yes. I mean, again, from my perspective, yes, but for probably a totally different reason than the boys. So that wasn't a whole lot of crossover. I do remember like seeing some of the girls or whatever, and that was definitely the age where I was like, ooh, maybe I fancy girls. This is kind of cool. And I don't remember anything about the entire sleepover, like what we had for dinner, what we watched, watching movies or TV or what we did, play games. But I remember specifically, you've seen the whole trick about put the shaving cream on their hand, tickle their nose, boom, get them in the face. Ha, that's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I still, to this day, have to frame it this way because if they did it on purpose, that's just super mean. But calling them dumbasses works better in my book because rather than lose shaving cream on me, they used toothpaste. And so what I was woken up by was not shaving cream in my face. I'm like, oh man, what the hell? Oh, this is a mess. It was the worst burning sensation in my eyeballs I've ever felt. Why? What's going on? Why does it burn? Like they've created a supervillain, basically, is what's going on in this house versus like this fun little prank that they thought they'd play on the nerdy kid that we invited.
This explains so much about you.
I woke up their mom, the boy's mom, because she had to help me like flush my eyes out because I like literally I'm like, this is great, guys. It really hurts. And I'm sure it just turned to complete tears and just like whimpering, and hopefully they felt bad about themselves because, again, dumbasses use shaving cream, not toothpaste.
Well, sorry. Finish your rant, and then I have several very important questions to this.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I can't remember if I spent the rest of the night there or if I demanded that I be taken back to my house. I don't remember which ended up happening, but yeah, that was the terrible one. Every other one went more or less okay.
So first off, we're younger friends, right? You were in 4th grade, they were in 3rd grade or something like that. Is that
no. The boy whose house I was there for the sleepover, he was younger, but I think most of the guys were my age.
I still hear it as a 2nd grader held you down and put toothpaste in your eyes.
That's absolutely not even close to what happened. No, I was trying to sleep like anybody should at a sleepover.
That's your mistake. You don't fall asleep at the sleepover first. If you're the first one asleep, bad things are going to happen to you. That's how everyone's able to stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning at that age. Fear.
Yeah, I know that now. I thought I was just having a good time with my buds, and it gets to be late enough. Okay, I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep. Good night, guys. I didn't know they would be dicks about me going to sleep. Like, you invite somebody to a sleepover and then you go to sleep and you get harassed for it? That's not cool.
It is cool. That's what makes
not.
sleepovers cool. Tormenting the nerdy one.
You still advocate blanket parties. You
I
don't
do.
get to tell me what's cool for children.
All right. So anyway, I had a sleepover story. I actually got 2 sleepover stories. Did you and your friends ever make yourselves pass out?
No, I know I'd heard of it, but no, we were not those friends. Again, you had blanket parties. You had very different friends than I did.
Yeah. So what you would do is you would put your head in between your legs and you'd make yourself hyperventilate, and then you'd lean back against the wall, and then you put your own hands on your neck, and then somebody else pushes on your elbows, so they're not choking you out. You're choking yourself out, and then you just, boom, you pass out for a second.
That is not the way I heard it described. The way I heard it described is you have the autonomy. You completely make yourself pass out. Not a friend does this, so it's like you're choking. You're getting choked, but you're choking yourself.
Well, we didn't want anybody chickening out. We wanted to make sure we took that ability away from people. Once you were committed, you were on board.
If you chicken out, you know what time it is. Blanket party.
So there's that little quick one. That's a quick enough story. That's the kind of thing, like, I kind of want to bring it up to my son, like, son, we need to have the talk. And he'll get all nervous, like it's going to be about, the birds and the bees. But no, it's like...
No, I don't want to talk about your penis.
I want to talk about a different kind of choking you can do with your friends.
You're going to make me pass out. Come here.
Never do this with your friends. This is dangerous. This can cause brain damage.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 minutes later, the ambulance pulls up. He was teaching me something, and then...
Oh, last thing I remember was my dad saying, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
He said, push me, you pussy. And then he just fell down. Did you push him up against the wall? No, I hadn't touched him yet. It was just the anticipation.
Well, he's 40 now. This thing happens when you're 40.
Yeah.
All right. So the other far more elaborate, meandering story is about the worst sleepover I ever went to.
Oh, good. We've talked for 13 minutes. Please, meander. Meander my ass to sleep. I'll be over here. Don't put toothpaste in my eyes, you a-hole.
I'm going to cut out all the happy sleepovers you had because those aren't good content. One of the first sleepovers I went to that was like a big group slumber party. It wasn't just a sleepover. Sleepover, to me, has the connotation of there's like 2 or 3 people. A slumber party is like a gaggle of kids just ready to destroy the property value of this house. So it was my friend's birthday, and it was October 13th on a Friday. I remember that because this was right when the Friday the 13th movies were coming out. And we didn't know anything about them, but we knew that October was scary and that Friday the 13th was scary. So you combine the 2 of them, and we were going to be really, really scared. And so we worked ourselves up into just like this absolute mass paranoia about all these legs that kept walking past the door or past the window. Because he had like those storm windows where the window's way up in the thing, up above because you're in a basement. We could swear it was a man walking back and forth with either a knife or a gun. And it really started to freak everybody out. And we're like really starting to scare each other back and forth. I, to this day, don't know if it was his dad knowing that we were all down there and messing with us, or his 3-legged dog that he did have walking back and forth in the backyard.
That would freak me out just as much.
A 3-legged dog? That's not scary, Jason. That's sad.
I mean, yeah, but also it in the right context with the right movie, it can be weird enough that it's like, oh god, I'm about to die. It's like one of those omens you see. See a 3-legged dog, you're about to die.
Well, I'm gonna die real soon because there's a bunch of 3-legged dogs in this neighborhood. Now that like people actually take care of their dogs, you see a lot more crippled ones walking around, which is probably good.
I mean, yeah, but, lots of rescues are getting adopted, and yeah. Like you said, sad, not scary. And yet I'm still scared.
Well, here's the thing, so everyone else was freaking out about that, but I was just laying there pretending to be asleep, and everyone's like, Steve, how could you sleep for this? I'm like, I've seen something far scarier. Because the kid that I had to share the top bunk with, for some reason, was going through with the show everyone his wiener phase. He kept showing me his wiener. I was like, I'm sick of looking at his wiener. I'm going to pretend to be asleep for a while. So, I would take my chances with the 3-legged dog or the axe murderer because I got wiener kid up here with me. This is the worst.
I suddenly am very happy about any of these sleepovers, including the terrible one that I went to because I didn't get the wiener kid. I mean, I don't know how I would have reacted if somebody like actually like kept showing me their wiener. Heck, no. I'm going to change that. If they showed me their wiener, period. Like, that's the deal breaker. Yeah, call my parents. I'm leaving. I saw peen. What are you guys doing back there? No. Didn't want to see peen. Still saw peen.
That's what I didn't dare tell anybody. I didn't want anyone to go like, what's going on out there? I'm like, ah. They'd just be like totally unsympathetic. Be like, oh yeah, Mark always shows people his wiener. What are you going to do? It's your turn to deal with Mark and his wiener.
I love it. This boy has found the perfect crime. He can't be convicted. He's either just a weird little boy and you have to let it go, or he's exploring himself and you have to let that go as well.
So,
congratulations, Martin. Show away.
And that kid is now a state senator.
That wouldn't shock me. My God.
So, just when this was about to go down as the worst sleepover in recorded history, we woke up the next day and we were eating pancakes, and then somebody had the great idea for the best game ever that totally redeemed this entire party. It was called Vegetable Warriors. And we would go out in the backyard and would put our sleeping bags over our heads so that we could become giant fighting cucumbers, and we would run into the volleyball net as hard as we could and just knock ourselves on the ground because we're stupid.
I've said this many times. I'm sorry, but it bears repeating. Children in Idaho are lucky to be alive now.
I'm allowed to drive a car and vote.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering. I know Idaho and some of those areas have questionable laws and people enforcing them in the first place, but kind of wondering if we should look into that.
No, here's the thing, Jason. Given all that I see in today's society, all the ills that we have and how divided we are and how we can't come to an agreement about anything and how we're all just dealing with anxiety and we can't interact with other people without feeling threatened, even on simple things like going to the grocery store. There's a pure simplicity and confidence that I miss about putting a sleeping bag over your head, pointing yourself in a direction, and just running.
Because in the movie version of this, there has to be one kid that missed the net and just kept running. And he got to like the city limits. He's just running out into a field somewhere before the cops pick him up and just like, oh God, they're inventing games over at the Martin's house again? Yeah.
It was Mark. He kept running. The cops finally found him, took the sleeping bag off. There's his wiener.
It's supposed to be a cucumber.
It's my little jerkin.
Yep. Jerkin my gherkin.
Gherkin, not jerk. Ah, man, I messed that up.
No, you didn't. You gave me a perfect pun. Or a perfect, wordplay. No, that worked. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as kids, put a sleeping bag on your head and run. That sounds like a great idea. I just love that you bothered to come up with like a title or like we're vegetables. That's why we're doing this. It's like, no, just put them on your heads and run. You're clearly showing you're dumbasses. Just go be dumbasses. Don't try and be like, we're clever. We have a name for this. In case the adults ask.
Now that I think about it, I think we originally were running into each other, and then that became so like unsureable, and that was like a little, or no, somebody missed and ran into the volleyball net, and we're like, that's hilarious. I want to do that. And so that's how it came to be. So it went from Vegetable Warriors to Vegetable Suicide Squad.
I mean, honestly, that's how great inventions get made. So it's like, if there's a mistake that happens and all of a sudden it's like, you know, a minute.
You iterate on things.
You could be onto something.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking with us for another episode of Then You Ruined It. You can find more of our nonsense on Twitter. I am at Idahobo, and Jason is at the Jason Sigler. We also do a webcomics review podcast called Digital Strips. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.